Hello, it's Liz from West Star Tarot, and today I am here to do a VR to the lovely Mascha at Musings by Mascha, and this is part of Mascha's Top Tarot Trumps series, and today we are on Trump 13, the Death card. And you know, it's an interesting card, and people have a lot of different reactions to that card. I think folks who are tarot readers and folks who have studied tarot and who have, you know, read guidebooks and tarot books, you know, we have a little bit of a different reaction to death. The Death card. Of course, I live in the United States, and this is a really death-phobic culture, to the point where in our culture you're not even supposed to get old, because I guess the older you get, the closer to death you get. And like I said, we have a real death phobia in this culture in the United States. I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but it's kind of ridiculous in this country. In fact, you will hear people in the United States say, well, if I die, and I always think to myself, I'm pretty sure it's when, not if, but you know. Anyway, yeah. So the Death card can be funny because like I said, the culture that I live in is death phobic. And of course, as tarot readers, we know that the Death card doesn't necessarily mean literal or physical death. It can mean transition, it can mean change, it can mean release, it can mean endings, it can mean all manner of things, not just physical death. So I don't think we need to be afraid when we see it pop up in a reading. But of course, if you are not knowledgeable about tarot and tarot cards and their meaning, and you're just having a reading and there you see, oh, the Death card, I can see where it might freak you out a little bit. And in fact, I got hired to do to read at a baby shower. A friend of mine hired me to read at her daughter's baby shower, and there were a number of pregnant women there. And as I was driving there, I thought, oh shoot, the Death card. That would not be a good card to have crop up for a pregnant woman. So I was thinking about that, and I thought, do I just take it out of the deck and then I don't have to think about it showing up? So I didn't, and I just thought, well, you know, if it pops up, I'll just explain it to the person. And in fact, it did not pop up at all, so it was a moot point. But I was a little concerned that it might freak a pregnant lady out to get a Death card. Anyway, all that being said about death itself, you know, whenever I do these videos in Mascha's series, I start to think about, you know, I'll think about maybe my first 2 or 3 really favorite cards for whatever Trump I'm working on. And I thought of several for the Death card. And, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I started to realize there are some really beautiful, stunning Death cards. So anyway, I'm going to show you a few of my favorites, and then I want to actually read from a couple of guidebooks that discuss Death cards. So I thought I would start with this one. This is from the Mascha, and it's by Charlie Claire Burgess. And I just wanted to bring this up because it's in the Marseille tradition. The death card is just card 13. It doesn't have the title on it. And Charlie in the guidebook says for the keywords, endings, release, transition, disintegration, compost. So I really like that. And transition, I was thinking back to the reading for the ladies at the baby shower. I thought, well, transition can be it can be one of the meanings of the death card, and transition is actually a stage of labor. So I thought, well, we could always go there, right? All right. So that's from the Gay Marseille, Tarot de Marseille type of deck. This is from the Morgan Greer. And so the Morgan Greer is a Rider-Waite-Smith derivative deck, and but it's kind of blown up. So instead of the sort of panned back views or perspective we get in the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Morgan Greer is always kind of up close and in your face. And we can see that with how instead of being panned back and seeing death riding the horse, we see it right here close up with the emphasis also on the rose. But I think this card is gorgeous. I really love this death card. I love the red sky and the red sunset. It's just beautiful. This is the Fifth Spirit, the other tarot by Charlie Claire Burgess, and I love this one. We have like the generations. We have like from the baby to the skeleton, and excuse me. You know, I love the breastfeeding. I'm a lactation counselor, so of course, any tarot card that shows breastfeeding, I'm all for. And I love that, and just sort of the symbolism of the cycles of life and how there's, you know, even like the pregnancy is, when the baby is born, that's a transition. That's an ending to life in the womb and the changes that, you know, we go through when we actually come out of the womb and are in this like, whoa, physical reality. So I love that card. One of the things that I notice about some death cards is they're not called death at all. They're called change or transition or something else. And here is a card from the Wildwood. And it's called The Journey. And so I think that's an interesting concept and title for the death card. This is a little bit grim or gruesome with the crow picking away at the flesh of the skull there, but nonetheless beautiful. And here is another stunningly beautiful card. This is from the Marielle Tarot by Marie White. Gorgeous. I don't read a lot with this deck. I don't think I've ever read for anyone but myself. I'm not really well versed in this deck, but I keep it because it just has some gorgeous imagery. There are some cards in this deck that I really don't like at all. And yet, oh, speaking of breastfeeding, for those of you who are familiar with this deck, we have the breastfeeding Hierophant. I actually do love that card. I know a lot of people don't, but here we have this gorgeous death card. It's just stunning. And kind of, I think there's something about this one that I like to kind of play against. I don't know. I see a connection, a similarity between these two cards. This is the Sasarabito by Stacia Barrington. Oh my gosh. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Stunning. So I wanted to just quickly touch upon what Stacia says. So this is a card of letting go. The death card is one of major transformation, rarely representing a literal death. This card does suggest an ending, a new beginning, and an opportunity for growth and transcendence. Loss, sadness, and grief are present, and goodbyes and letting go may be necessary. So I do like that whole idea as looking at the death card as symbolizing opportunity for growth. So that is another aspect of it. This is from, this is Joanna Powell Colbert's Herb Crafters. And I love that they chose to do the marigold because in Mexican culture, marigold is a flower that is associated with the Day of the Dead, and folks go to the cemeteries and decorate graves with marigolds, and it's it is definitely a flower of death. So here we see honor that which is passing, celebrate the beauty and fragility of life, and welcome endings. And kind of having a little, let me just go over here, a little sun issue. How is that? Technical difficulties here. So all things come to an end. Find closure so you may accept renewal. Pay homage to what must die. It has given you life. The rich scent and vibrant color of marigold is said to lead the souls of the beloved dead home so that we may celebrate them and the lives they lived. Honor your experiences as they pass. And life is fragile, is it not? And it's fleeting. Finally, I wanted to, this is one of my favorite death cards. This is the Gentle Tarot by Mari Aparicio Tavar. And I really love this. I live near the ocean, and I see every time I go to the beach, almost every time I go to the beach, I see a hermit crab. And I know kids at the beach are fascinated by hermit crabs. And hermit crabs, when it's time for change, they literally outgrow their house or their dwelling, and they go in search of a larger one. So I think what Mari has to say about death, the death card, is really fascinating. This is a card of freedom more than anything else. And when we think about it, when you watch the dying process, I watched a few years ago my elderly mom pass away. I was with her during the active dying stage, which lasted, in the case of my mom, for days, for like 5 or 6 days. And, I could see we were sort of at this point where my mom, the being who was my mother, was trapped in this physical body. And, as the time went by, and when my mom finally was passing, I did get this sense that her soul leaving the body, she was becoming free from that frail physical body that had outlived its purpose and that she no longer needed. And now she was free to go back to being just a spirit, just a soul. So Mari goes on to say, this is the end of a cycle. The shedding is necessary, letting go. It may be the closing of a chapter of our lives or a part of us that needs to be freed. If you are resisting change, support yourself and give yourself space to transform, like our friend, the hermit crab. And it's interesting because that's the back of the cards. So there we go. Collecting responses from the time that we are in the womb, the body remembers. This is a part of life. It is true for all of us. We become conditioned to act a certain way, to speak a certain way, and often to hurt ourselves and stifle our own growth. It can take us years, decades to see clearly. And even then, it can be extremely difficult to let go of these habits and conditioned responses. Death is simply a transition to a new, more fulfilling way of life. The death card says, the time to shed what doesn't serve you has come. Let it go. Breathe. Celebrate. Remember that you are perfectly made and you are whole. Let go of that tight, rigid shell, little hermit crab, because even if you can't see or imagine it, there is a comfy shell that is more vibrant and more you, just waiting for you to crawl on in. One closed door is many more open. So I have to say, I think the death card is one of my favorite trumps. And when I first was learning tarot, I know I would have never said that. But you know, when you look at all these images I've brought forward and all the different things that the death card represents, it's pretty wonderful. So as always, thank you, Mascha, for doing this series. I'm really enjoying it. And peace and love, my friends.